Hi, my name is Peter. I'm 20 years old now, but this happened to me when I was around 10. My grandparents had a really big mansion, which also had an enormous greenhouse. The greenhouse was located next to the mansion, but there was a yard in between the mansion too. At the end of the greenhouse, there were some apple trees, where we used to go pick apples during the summer. The width of the terrain where the apple trees was about 200 meters. At the end of the 200 meters, you would be next to our neighbor's greenhouse. Of course, he wasn't the only one in the neighborhood with a greenhouse. They had neighbors with greenhouses also. Well, unfortunately, both neighbors were missing. Well, there were actually a couple of people that moved into that house, but they all moved out eventually, but I didn't know the reason why, because it was a really nice house. However, since then, it's been completely abandoned. The glass on the neighbor's greenhouse was even broken on some of the sides. One day, our grandpa invited us all to a sleepover. All my cousins were invited. We played in the yard, ate some snacks, and watched some TV until we fell asleep. I was just sleeping until something, or someone, woke me up. It came from outside. At first I thought it was an animal or something, but the more I listened, the more it sounded like someone was walking quietly. I quickly took a peek out the window. To my surprise, I saw a shadowy figure. He didn't see me, but I saw him. I also saw an old kitchen knife in his right hand. It looked like he wanted to make sure nobody was on his street. After a couple minutes, he went back, but at that moment, I went and told my cousin David about it. David was my oldest cousin. He knew that I wasn't the type of kid who joked around a lot, especially not about this kind of thing. He also saw how terrified my face was. Then I said, "Hey, should we call Grandpa? I mean, he's a tough guy." He absolutely was. He was super strong and hated criminals. "But we will get punished if we wake him in the middle of the night for nothing," Daniel said. Daniel was an older cousin of mine. He was 13 at the time. Then Daniel came up with this idea. We should wake up our other older cousins, which were Ethan, Daniel, David, and Katie. We woke them up and told them the situation. They agreed to come with us and brought 5 flashlights. We went out and started searching the yard. But then I said, we should look at the back of the greenhouse. Everyone agreed. But even there, we found nobody. But then Daniel said, "Hey, should we check the neighbor's greenhouse? I mean, we can crawl through the broken windows." So we did. My cousins shined the light into the darkness of the greenhouse. And then I noticed something. Somebody was sitting there. I pointed to the person I saw. At that point, David shined his flashlight in the way he was looking. And then that terrifying moment happened. We saw a man sitting with an old kitchen knife staring at us. I was so terrified. David grabbed me by the neck and we all ran back to the mansion. We got back in the house and locked the door and warned our grandparents. My grandpa was pissed. He grabbed his baseball bat and searched the area. My grandma called the police, and after 20 minutes they showed up. When the cops arrived, they found my grandpa beating up the man. The cops arrested him, and it turned out that he was the one that killed the neighbors, and he hid in the forest nearby in the summer and in the house when it was winter. He was also the reason people moved out, because he lived in a hidden room and would take people's food and made noise, which sometimes made people think that their house was haunted.